Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to take a look at a very fun team for the Sunshine Cup, Triple Shadow Ground. This is not a team meant for climbing, it's a team meant to just have a bit of fun. Although it does make sense, you have a Piloswine in the lead that's weak against fighting and then two fighting enters in the back. And this team is generally quite good against a lot of things in the meta, although it just gets completely annihilated by Swampert. Going into the first game, we lead into a Noctowl. I led into a lot of Noctowls today. They swap into Vigoroth, we respond with Nidoqueen right away. And I've noticed a bit of a trend with Vigoroth. Although they do go up to the Bulldoze, no Vigoroth ever throws the Bulldoze right away. So we can just let this go, it's just a Body Slam. And no Vigoroth ever shields the first move against the Shadow Nidoqueen. So we just go straight for the Earth Power. And we take out the Vigoroth. Bye bye. What do they bring in? They bring back in the Noctowl. I have had a bit of a reputation for running some weird movesets on Nidoqueen, so I go up to the Stone Edge, or the potential Stone Edge, then go for the Poison Fang, but they no shielded. I have run double nuke Nidoqueen before. Bring back in the Shadow Piloswine. It can actually take a move from Noctowl. It is surprisingly bulky. And they go for another move. This one we do have to shield. And then I'm expecting them to swap out because it doesn't make any sense for them to stay in when they are just getting farmed down. Bring in a Blaziken. We bring in Gallade. And it looks like we're going to be able to farm them down before they get to another Blaze Kick. So we go for that. And let's see, it's 6 for the next one. Can we get there? Yes, we can. Come out with a lot of energy. Go for the first Night Slash. But my opponent concedes the match. There was no way they were coming back into that. Next game, we lead into a Razor Leaf Gorebyss. And this is a bit awkward because these Razor Leaves are just tearing through Shadow Piloswine. So we go for the Avalanche and then we're going to swap out. This does grab the shield, swap into Nidoqueen. And they go for a move after only 10. This is only a Seed Bomb, takes 14 for the Shadow Ball. So we can take it, I think. It does a little bit more than I wanted it to. And once again, Vigoroth just does not shield the first move from a Nidoqueen. So we go straight for the Earth Power. It lands, does massive damage. Now they go for a move. And I'm thinking we can shield this, farm them down. Or no shield it, save 2 shields for Gallade. And then farm the Vigoroth down with Gallade instead. Come out with a bit of energy. And they bring in a Magcargo. And at this point, we are getting to 2 Earthquakes before they get to 3 moves on Magcargo. So no point in baiting. The Gorebyss is also dry in the back. So we can just double shield this, go for double Earthquake, and it should be a pretty good game. Unless they catch a Gorebyss. Shield up the first Rock Tomb. Doesn't matter about the attack drop. The Earthquake does about 180% damage to Magcargo. They try to catch on the Gorebyss. We go for the Night Slash after over farming a little. Take out the Gorebyss. Now get to the Earthquake on Magcargo. And they should absolutely annihilate Magcargo and its entire family. Goodbye. That is a good game. Next game. Lead into another Noctowl. I apologize. There's not a lot of different leads in this one. They swap into Blaziken. I really should be swapping in Gallade, but I swap in Nidoqueen for some reason. Go for the shield. And it's a Blast Burn. Apparently this trainer is, I think, running double nuke Blaziken. So we can just farm it all the way down after shielding the Blast Burn. Have to shield the move from Blaziken. Go for the Earth Power. Once again, I do have a little bit of a reputation for running Stone Edge. So they probably didn't see it coming. Go for another Earth Power. They should take them out unless they shield. They do go for the shield, unfortunately. And now they can farm me all the way down. But I'm thinking that the Piloswine should just be able to deal with everything in the back if we tank the energy on Gallade. So bring in the Gallade. If this is a Sand Tomb, they do have another Shadow Ball, so I want to stay in. If it's the Shadow Ball, we can't swap in Piloswine, because then they only have a Sand Tomb. And I don't want the Noctowl to get ahead on energy, so I want to swap in my Piloswine as quickly as possible. Bring in the Piloswine, they bring in Noctowl. We are still a little bit ahead on energy, so we should be able to take out this Noctowl. They do go for a move, but of course Piloswine is going to win CMP against Noctowl. I also think it's still 1 wing attack away from the next Sky attack. And obviously, an Avalanche from a Shadow Piloswine is going to absolutely destroy any flyer. Take out the Noctowl. They bring back in the Runerigus, and we farm it down. That is another good game. And another Noctowl in the lead. This is why I'm running Shadow Piloswine in the lead and not in the back. because I'm just seeing so many Noctowls. You can also flip it around. I do face a team with like a Tropius lead, Stunfisk, and then Piloswine. You can play that instead if you want. If you see a lot of flies in the back and not in the lead, that would make sense. They bring in a Girafarig, and I no-shield the first Psychic Fangs, which is a bit of a mistake on Gliscor. Should have definitely shielded this, because at this point they can double shield the Girafarig, farm Gliscor down, and take switch advantage, and come out with a lot of energy as well. Don't want to take the confusions on the Nidoqueen, so we're going to bring in the Piloswine once again. Hope that we can shield once and farm it down. So we're going to shield this. They're 2 away from the next Psychic Fangs. So we go for the Powder Snows, and we just about farm them down. Come out with a lot of energy. They bring in Vigoroth. Our switch timer is not up, so we have to go for this Avalanche. But now, can Nidoqueen sweep in the back? It's going to be quite close. Bring in the Nidoqueen. They go for a move. This is just a Body Slam. It only does about 41%, whereas a Sky Attack does about 46%, so I would rather shield the move from Noctowl. They bring in Noctowl. We go for the Poison Fang as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, we're not running Stone Edge in this video, on this team. Does a bit of damage, but this is going to be quite close. They're 3 away from their next move. If I go for the Poison Fang immediately, they're going to sneak a Wing Attack, meaning I'm only going to get 2 more Poison Fangs or Poison Jabs in. Whereas if I go for the Poison Fang on CMP, I get 3 Poison Jabs in before they get to their move, meaning I get more fast move damage. And that was just about enough with that Poison Fang to take out the Noctowl. I think that was the winning play. Go for another Poison Fang on the Vigoroth, takes it out. And that is another good game. Next game, I know this is a boring lead. You see this all the time. Shadow Piloswine into Shadow Golurk. But I still wanted to showcase it. They bring in a Talonflame. And I really should just be bringing in my Nidoqueen immediately. Nidoqueen has a quite comfortable matchup against Talonflame in the 1 and 2 shields. Grab 1 shield and then bring in the Nidoqueen. No shield the first one, expecting the Flame Charge. And it is the Flame Charge. Don't want to shield the first one, because now their attack is buffed. They go for another one. This is the one we want to shield. And now I want to throw 7 if I can lift 2 more Incinerates, but I realize I can't, so I only go for 4. And they should take them out unless they shield. It does take out the Talonflame. They bring back in the Golurk. 1 Mud Slap is obviously enough to take out the Nidoqueen. This thing does so much damage. I'm expecting them to swap out immediately, so I bring in the Gliscor. And they bring in Macaco, and this is very awkward. Because if they bait, it's very bad. If they go straight overheat, it's very bad. I call the bait, and they go straight overheat and just absolutely annihilate the Shadow Gliscor. Bring in the Piloswine. I know the game is over, but I just want to land this high horsepower, and boom, another huge nuke lands in this game. Really, really good game. This is the same opponent who ran Triple Fire in the last video. Sets Wireless, always running some very fun teams. Next game, lead into another Noctowl. They swap in Trevenant. I swap in Nidoqueen because this is another opponent that I face a lot. And I know that he has a Stunfisk in the back, or that he is usually running Stunfisk in the back with this line. You might recognize the opponent. It's Emmy Weedle. I face him pretty much daily. Very, very good battler, as you're probably aware. I just want to win switch advantage. So I go down another shield here, but Piloswine down shields against Noctowl is not actually the best matchup. They bring in Stunfisk, probably expecting me to run Stone Edge. Maybe they've seen my video or Junkus' video on my team. He basically stole my team as well. Bring in the Piloswine, thinking that down energy and down shields, my Piloswine is not going to be able to take out the Noctowl. So I would rather try and force maybe a mistake by bringing it in, or just playing it fast. I thought in the moment that they made like an absolutely unreal play by undercharging the Earthquake so they could get energy and Noctowl, which would have been an unreal play. It turns out the Earthquake actually just only does about 75% to a Shadow Piloswine. It is a lot more bulky than you would think. But getting that energy and Noctowl actually proved to be absolutely massive for my opponent, because then they get to the move before I get to a move on Nidoqueen. Now we have to bring in the Gliscor, and this is a pretty bad matchup for Gliscor. I know that the Stunfisk is dry. It threw the move immediately, so I should be able to outpace it no matter what. So I just don't want to take any more fast move damage than necessary. So I go for the Night Slash immediately against this Noctowl, knowing that I should be able to outpace this Stunfisk. If I counted correctly, that is. So did we count correctly? Yes, we did. We get to the Night Slash on CMP against the Galarian Stunfisk, and they should be enough to take it out. And that is a good game. He usually beats me more than I beat him, but I tend to showcase the games where I beat him. Don't tell him. Next game, lead into a Tropius. They swap into Galarian Stunfisk. Fun detail here, as long as the Stunfisk only gets 2 mud shots ahead, Gliscor will be able to win every even shield scenario straight Earthquake. So you can just go straight for the Earthquake or go for it on CMP here, and it should be able to win every single even shield scenario. They do no shielded on Stunfisk, and then they bring in Piloswine. I probably should have taken another Rock Slide before going for the Earthquake, just to not leave myself in farm range, because Piloswine with energy is a nightmare to deal with. It has an Avalanche loaded now. I don't mind, I don't need to get my Piloswine onto that Tropius. Nidoqueen does perfectly fine, so I can bring in Piloswine here, shield up the Avalanche. I just want to put the Piloswine into a range where I can farm it down with Nidoqueen and then finish off the game with Nidoqueen. So go for the Avalanche, then shield once again, and then the Powder Snow should put it down into a range where we can handle it. Of course, we're going to grab the last shield with this Avalanche here as well. And then they're forced to throw energy in order to take out our Piloswine. And they do. So now we can just bring in the Nidoqueen, and it should be able to handle the rest of this team. They swap out immediately, of course. Doesn't make sense to stay in when you have no energy and that little HP. Go for the Poison Fang immediately. This does a lot of damage. The Tropius does get to move, but Nidoqueen can easily lift this. And then we should be able to farm it down. Farm down the Tropius. Come out with energy. I think we could have been able to farm down the Piloswine as well, but I wanted to make sure, so went for the Poison Fang to take out this Piloswine. That is another good game. Next game, lead into another flyer, Noctowl. I swear I just ran into so many of these. Again, number one advice, figure out what you see a lot in the lead, counter it with your lead, figure out what you see a lot in the back, and then make a team that basically counters what you see the most. And that is why I'm running Piloswine in the lead. So yeah, they're actually staying in this time. Piloswine and Noctowl get to their moves at the exact same time, which is why I'm going for the Avalanches immediately. I don't want them to get off their move before I get off my move. But at the end, I'm expecting them to potentially catch. So I don't want to throw the Avalanche, but I also don't want to not throw it and risk them going for the Sky Attack taking me out. So I end up trying to catch on my own Gliscor, and they try to catch on Stunfisk. So this is actually just a brilliant position. Not really a lot of skill to it, although of course I am amazing getting my Gliscor onto a Galarian Stunfisk. No, this was just lucky. Get to the Earthquake on CMP and the second Rock Slide. Absolutely annihilates the Stunfisk. Boom. And now they probably, no, they actually don't bring in the Noctowl. They bring in Trevenant. Go for the Night Slash. Should do a lot of damage. And it does. And now they're forced to just expend energy. They're not coming out with the move, so we can just bring in the Nidoqueen. And it should be able to farm down everything. Noctowl does have a move, but yeah, doesn't matter. That is another good game. Next game, lead into a Shadow Dunfant lead. This is not the ideal lead. We do super effective damage to each other. I swap in Nidoqueen. I said in the previous video that this is a really bad matchup for Nidoqueen. It actually isn't that bad, because the Dunfant, it takes so long for the Dunfant to get to an Earthquake, and the counters are resisted. So I take the first move, then go straight for the Earth Power against the Galarian Stunfisk. The Dunfant also overfarm quite a lot. Does a lot of damage. They go straight for the Rock Slide. And it doesn't quite take out Nidoqueen, but we don't get to another move. Now I bring in Piloswine. I could have brought in Gliscor, but Piloswine can take this Rock Slide, and Piloswine with energy is just so deadly. So getting a farm down like this is really huge. Get the farm down on Stunfisk. They bring back in the Dunfant. We go straight for the Avalanche. They have to shield this. And now we're going to swap out to Gliscor. But Piloswine is kind of low, and I don't want my Gliscor to also get low. This Body Slam should do quite a lot, so I do end up shielding it. They overfarm by 3, and then they bring in Noctowl. Yikes. Gliscor is not a fan of Noctowl. Go for the first Night Slash. And also I heard, I don't know if these are just rumors, because I cannot confirm it definitely, that Night Slash is sometimes supposed to give you a boost. Certainly have not experienced that. Apparently there's a 12.5% chance. Don't know who is making up these rumors. Go for the Night Slash on CMP here. This should just about be able to take out the Noctowl, I hope. And it does. The Dunfan is 2 away, so a catch on Piloswine. This was probably a mistake. I should probably just let the Dunfan take out my Gliscor and then hope that my Piloswine could do enough fast move damage to take out the Dunfan, because now they come out with a lot of energy and we're just about not able to farm it down with Wing Attack. Dunfan gets to a Body Slam, takes out Gliscor. That is another good game. Next game lead into Galarian Stunfisk. We get to the high horsepower at the same time as they get to Earthquake, so I'm thinking they're probably not going to want to let this go. It does about 84% if it's a high horsepower, which is why I go for the bait, but they do let it go. Maybe they were just expecting the bait, and I'm also expecting the bait. A lot of people think Piloswine is a lot more frail than it actually is. It can actually quite comfortably lift that Rock Slide, so they tend to bait more often because they think it's so frail. Go for another Rock Slide. I go for an Avalanche into the Blaziken. This was a quite poor play by me. But they should put it into a range where we can farm it down with Gliscor. And they just about get to a move on Blaziken. Very unfortunate. Now we do come out with a bit of energy. Now what do they have in the back? I don't think they're bringing in the Stunfisk against the Gliscor. Did they bring in Trevenant? We farm up, overfarm a lot. Hoping that they might have miscounted so we can get off both of these Night Slashes. Trevenant does win CMP and they go for it. This is going to take out Gliscor, but I think at this point Nidoqueen should just be able to farm the Trevenant all the way down, and Piloswine should just be able to farm the Stunfisk all the way down. So I just bring in the Nidoqueen, save a shield for it, and they're not getting to a Seed Bomb and a Shadow Ball. I don't even think they're getting to 2 Seed Bombs, so I shield the first one, and then they bring a Stunfisk, bring in Piloswine. This is going to be quite close. Go for the farm down. And we get it. Come out with a high horsepower as well for the Trevenant, which is definitely the right move to throw if you're a bit mean. High horsepower takes out the Trevenant. That is a good game. Final game, only fitting that we finish off with yet another Noctowl and a little bit of lag to begin the game as well. Once again, they stay in for a little bit. Then bring in Blaziken. We bring in Gliscor. And the good thing about Gliscor, Shadow Gliscor, is that if you're quick enough, you can farm this all the way down. I don't know if it's IV dependent on the Blaziken side, but yeah, we farm it all the way down, only shielding once. Go for the Night Slash number 1 on Noctowl. And once again, as I mentioned before, I heard that this Night Slash should sometimes give you a boost. I am yet to experience such a thing. Unless the Gliscor is on the opposite side, of course. I am just joking. If anyone is thinking, wow, he's complaining, I'm just messing around. Go for another Night Slash. Then they go for the Sky Attack to take out the Gliscor. I'm thinking they're probably going to swap out immediately because they're not getting to another move before I farm them down with Piloswine. So I bring in Nidoqueen. They bring in Trevenant. We go straight for the Poison Fang. And at this point, I'm just going to let my Nidoqueen go, because if I can just tank some energy here, I should be able to Powder Snow everything down afterwards with my Piloswine if I save 1 shield for it. And I think my opponent realized that too, because they allow me to get to another Poison Fang. They definitely should have won that CMP if they went for it. And yeah, that is another good game. That was the last battle for today, and as I said in the beginning, this is not a team meant for climbing. It's more of a team just to have a bit of fun. Although if you don't see a lot of Swampets and you see a lot of flyers in the lead, this team can work out very well. You can also flip the Vigoroth and Dopwall matchups in the lead. If you swap into Nidoqueen, try and set up something to farm them down with Piloswine. If you get in some fast move damage and then land that high horsepower onto Vigoroth or Dopwall, you can take them out in the end game, so it is possible. Other than that, I have a question for you today. No fun fact. I apologize if you like the fun fact. I just really want to know, because I've been sitting in ridiculous queues for the past couple of days because of my elo, and I simply do not have the time to sit in these long queues and put out videos every single day. So I want to know, would you rather have less videos at these very high elos, or would you rather have more videos at lower elos, or maybe like a mix of the two? So I climb sometimes and then other times I play more games at lower elo. So let me know in the comments. Other than that, if you like what you see or you feel like you learned something, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.